My boyfriend, Leo, told me the doll my mom bought was a life-swapping doll. He said the moment a red cord was tied on it, my own head would roll. It was my death sentence. When I got back from a trip, my mom bought us a life-size doll. I sent a picture to Leo, and he immediately told me what it was. Your mom is trying to sell you to someone from the underworld to trade for her own life. Once a red cord is tied around that doll's neck, you're not far from losing your own head. That very night, I caught my mom sneaking around, wrapping a red cord around the doll's neck. It was pulled terrifyingly tight, as if she were trying to strangle the head clean off. I've never liked dolls, Barbies, or anything like that. They stare with these dark, empty eyes, looking like they're ready to jump up and kill me at any moment. But after I got back from my trip, my mom bought me a doll that was almost as tall as I am. She harshly insisted I keep it in my room. I watched as my mom snuck into my room while I was sleeping, holding the red cord she was wrapping around the doll's neck. "Mom, what are you doing?" She fumbled, and the red cord, which she had just looped around but hadn't tightened yet, fell loose. My mom mumbled something, but before she could answer, my brother called for her from outside. The red cord lay quietly on the floor. Scared, I kicked it under the bed, locked the door, and pulled the covers over my head to sleep. But in the middle of the night, my breathing grew tight. My head felt like it was being dragged upwards by something. I opened my eyes and saw a red cord pulling my neck upward, like a noose. Something cold was carefully propping me up from behind. A chill ran down my spine and I screamed. A loud clattering sound echoed in the room. The lights outside my room immediately turned on. In the light from the hallway, I saw the doll on the floor, toppled over, with a red cord draped over its neck. My throat went tight. I had definitely locked the door after my mom left. So how did that red cord end up wrapped around the doll's neck? I had specifically kept the doll in my room, despite how much it scared me, just to stop my mom from tying that cord around its neck. There was a loud banging on the door, and I heard my mom's anxious voice. I quickly unlocked and opened it. But the instant I opened the door, I saw she was holding a red cord right at the level of my neck. If I had walked straight into it, I don't know if she would have just strangled me right then and there. "Mom, what are you doing?" I didn't dare hesitate. I slammed the door shut and locked it again. My mom started pounding on the door frantically. "Zoe, come out. What are you screaming about in the middle of the night?" I made up an excuse to get her to leave. She tried her key a couple of times, but when it didn't work, she cursed at me and finally went away. As I walked toward my bed, I tripped over the doll on the floor. The red cord was still around its neck, and its eyes were staring straight at me. I quickly untied it and put the cord on my nightstand. I fumbled for my phone and told my boyfriend Leo everything. "Your mom wants a spirit from the other side to steal your soul for a life swap. With the cord on the doll, you won't feel any pain. Your soul will be gone before you even know it." He said that to steal a soul, it wasn't enough to just tie a cord around the doll's neck. All 4 limbs had to be bound with red cords, too. The doll was clothed. I pulled back its clothes and sure enough, I saw cords tied tightly around its arms and legs. "That doll is now linked to your fate," he said. "When the spirit comes at night, all it has to do is put the cord on the doll's neck to take your soul." He didn't have to say the next part, but I knew. The only reason I'd felt anything was because the cord wasn't tied tightly enough. I started sobbing. Leo was silent for a long moment before he told me what to do. "You have to turn the tables on her. Tomorrow night, take the red cord from the doll's neck and put it under your mom's pillow. When the spirit realizes it has the wrong person, it will go after your mother instead." I was horrified. But what if my mom dies? Was Leo telling me to kill someone? To use a ghost to commit murder? Your mom's soul isn't bound by a red cord. When the spirit sees it's made a mistake, it will just give her a scare. Her life won't be in danger. But if you hesitate, you'll be the one who's dead tomorrow night. The shadow of death loomed over me. I had no choice but to listen to Leo. During the day, my mom nagged me about my behavior the night before. When she wasn't looking, I snuck the red cord under her pillow. To make sure she wouldn't find it, I even lifted the mattress and pressed it flat underneath. Leo had said it would work as long as it was under her head. That evening, my mom cooked a huge meal. She even bought a live chicken, but it got too late to deal with it, so she just tied it up in the kitchen for the night. Then my mom personally served me the biggest bowl of rice and set it in front of me. My brother was still upstairs doing who knows what. I sent a picture to my boyfriend, complaining about how over the top she was being. But he cut me off. That's a farewell meal. If you eat the main portion of it, your connection to your family will be completely severed. Then the spirits won't even need the red cord, they can just tie you up and drag you away. I gagged and ran to the kitchen, throwing up the half bowl of rice I'd already eaten. Claiming I was dizzy and sick, I locked myself in my room and tied up the doll that was in there. Looking at its slender, clean neck, I shut my eyes, pulled its head off, stuffed a roll of toilet paper into the neck cavity, and jammed it back on. That way, even if the cord was put on its neck again, the toilet paper roll would keep it from tightening. But weirdly, when night fell, I found myself tied to the bed. Red cords were wrapped around my neck from a distance. I didn't feel like I was suffocating, but I could feel my entire being separating from my body. My limbs grew cold and numb, beyond my control. Just as I was about to completely separate from my body, a loud rooster's crow pierced the air. The sun rose quickly after that, warming the room. I fell back into my body, but I still couldn't move. With a click, my bedroom door opened. But my mom didn't even glance at me. She untied me, pulled me off the bed, and placed the doll from the corner onto it. She arranged the limbs and head of the large rooster she'd brought to correspond with the dolls. Only then did I feel like my body was my own again. I scrambled to my feet, about to ask my mom what on earth was going on. But she suddenly grabbed me and burst into tears. Don't you remember? You had those strange red marks on your wrists and ankles a while back. That's because you were marked by a spirit. I had to buy a doll to take your place, but it hadn't absorbed enough of your life force to trick those evil things. It all came back to me. My limbs had been sore, but my skin bruises easily, so I didn't think much of it. Did that mean something had been targeting me all along? So my mom was trying to save me by tying the red cord on the doll. But then why did I wake up being strangled when the cord was on the doll's neck? And my mom was completely fine, while the thing from the other side still tried to take me. She also had that rooster ready. Before I could figure it out, my mom continued, "Tomorrow night is the last night. You have to kill this rooster and drink its blood. Then ordinary spirits won't dare come near you." The next day, I got up early to prepare myself mentally. The rooster crowed again and again, its eyes looking at me with a pleading, pathetic expression. But to save myself, I couldn't value an animal's life more than my own. Just as I was about to do it, my mom stopped me again. "Go out and borrow a dull knife from a neighbor. Killing a chicken with a dull knife makes spirits retreat." I went to ask the neighbors, but many of them had their doors locked and didn't answer. Only one old woman, wearing a pair of reading glasses, answered. Her cloudy eyes stared intently at me. "Here to borrow a dull knife? I only have one." I looked at her anxiously. "I know, Grandma. I'll bring it right back when I'm done." "Child, what's your name?" I looked at her, confused. I'd greeted this old woman many times before. Why was she asking for my name now? "You already know my name." "I'm old, so old. My memory isn't what it used to be. Tell me again." "Zoe." The old woman nodded, then asked me to write my name down for her on a piece of red paper. I hesitated, but I needed the knife, so I wrote my name on it. The red paper was covered in dense characters I couldn't read. The old woman rolled up the top part, and just had me sign at the bottom. Just as I finished my last stroke, I saw her about to take the paper and quickly snatched it back. I hurriedly scribbled out my name, explaining, "Wrote it wrong, sorry." "Grandma, do you have another piece of paper?" She stared at me without speaking, then produced a clean sheet of white paper. I breathed a sigh of relief. I signed my name and left with the knife. But as I was leaving, I saw the old woman comparing the red and white papers, dancing and muttering to herself like she was possessed. My boyfriend, Leo, messaged me again on WhatsApp, asking how I was. I was so angry I didn't even reply. His stupid plan was completely useless. Worse, he just made things more chaotic. If it weren't for my mom, who knows where I'd be right now? Impossible. Something must have gone wrong on your mom's end. By the way, isn't your brother still home? If the life swap for you failed, your brother is probably already dead. I cursed him out. I'd only been dating Leo for 3 months. And here he was, trying to drive a wedge between my family and me, and wishing death upon them. If you don't believe me, go check your brother's room. Didn't you say your mom bought 2 life-swapping dolls? Go see if the head, body, and limbs of the other doll are separated. If they are, it means your brother's soul has been taken too. I thought it was ridiculous. My mom might have been okay with me, but she definitely favored her son. There was no way my brother could be dead while I was still perfectly fine. But I really hadn't seen my brother recently, only heard his voice. My mom said it wasn't the right time to kill the chicken yet, and she was busy doing laundry. I took the opportunity to sneak into my brother's room. The curtains were drawn, and the room was pitch black. I fumbled for the light switch, but it wouldn't turn on. My foot bumped into something that rolled across the floor with a thud. Fighting back my fear, I reached down to touch it. It was unmistakably the shape of a human head. I covered my mouth to keep from screaming, but then the head started to rise. "Sis, what are you doing?" My mind went blank. Then I realized it was my brother. He pulled open the curtains, and I saw him crawl out from under the bed, holding a glass of water. His eyes were like dark pits staring at me. The little boy who was usually so warm and sweet now had a grim, shadowy air about him. "Why haven't you come down for meals these past few days?" He looked at me, his jaw working stiffly a few times. He pulled the collar of his shirt up around his neck before he could speak properly. "I had heat stroke. I haven't been feeling well." No wonder his head felt so cold. The AC in his room was cranked down to what felt like 45 degrees. Peeking out from under his bed was a black-haired head. The doll's limbs were still inside its clothes. Leo was messing with me again. That night, my mom yelled from outside for me to come kill the chicken. I was holding the knife when my phone started vibrating nonstop. After seeing I had blocked him, Leo started calling me from different numbers. "Zoe, I'll tell you the truth. Your whole family is dead except for you. Your mom got life-swapping dolls from an underworld official to sell you and your brother as undead servants." I was about to curse him out, but then my phone buzzed with a gory photo. In the picture, my mom was shielding us protectively. Her own body was crushed to a pulp, but she had managed to keep my brother's head and mine perfectly safe. But falling from that mountaintop, only our heads remained intact. Was that why the red marks appeared on my limbs? Was I actually a dead person with nothing left but a head? Leo said we were both our mother's children. It was easy for her to trade our lives for her own. Besides, our time wasn't up. For people like us who died suddenly, the underworld wouldn't let us follow the normal process. Our next lives would be as animals. But a life swap meant we could not only live again but continue as humans in the next life. And apparently, a parent selling their child is a contract that's valid even in the underworld. "Zoe, it's time. Come kill the chicken." My mom's shrill voice screamed from outside. I jumped, startled. Leo continued, "Do you have any idea why she's so insistent on you killing that chicken? A rooster is a creature of pure yang energy, and it saved your life once already. But if you repay its kindness with betrayal, that rooster will die holding a grudge against you. Its pure yang energy will turn into extreme malevolent energy. It will drag you down with it." I realized my memories of the trip were fuzzy. I had no memory of that at all. Leo said my memories had been erased. If I remembered what happened, none of this would work. My mom wouldn't have been able to sell me off without me knowing. "That knife is a good one. Jam it into your door. As long as the knife doesn't fall, your mom can't get in." I did as Leo said, quickly shutting the door and slamming the knife hard into the wood. My mom paced anxiously outside with the chicken. "Zoe, it's time. If we miss the hour, your soul will be stolen." The doorknob rattled violently. At first, my mom tried to persuade me, but then she started throwing her body against the door, trying to break it down. The knife in the door trembled as if it would fall out at any second. After a while, the noise outside stopped. My mom sighed. "Zoe, you know everything, don't you? Mom wanted to send you off quietly. Once you realize you're dead, returning to the world of the living becomes much more complicated." That was true. I'd seen it in movies. Once the dead realize they're dead, their consciousness starts to fade. A cold sweat broke out on my skin. I had started to lose feeling in my hands a moment ago. Now, I looked down and saw my hands were becoming transparent. You can't even hold the knife anymore. Mom wanted to trade one life for two. We all died unjustly. As long as I swapped my life for yours, you and your brother could go back. Your brother already left a while ago. I quickly cut her off, but I saw my brother in his room yesterday. That was a fake. I sensed you were getting suspicious, so I had to urgently call your brother back to possess the doll to check on you. As long as you believe me, you'll kill the chicken without worry. This chicken will lead you back to the living. Leo said killing the chicken would get me dragged away by something from the underworld. But my mom said killing this chicken would guide me back to life. My hands were transparent. I could barely move. The knife on the wall was solid and heavy. There was no way I could get it down. My mom seemed to sense my predicament. I have a way. I have a way. Zoe, don't resist. Soon, I felt my limbs being bound. Red cords wrapped around my hands and feet. And the doll on the floor stood up shakily and reached for the knife in the door. The doll opened the door. Through the crack, waves of cold air seeped in, chilling me to the bone. My mom stuck her head in, her neck stretching unnaturally long. The chicken she was holding also poked its head in. She carefully moved the chicken's neck towards the knife. The doll was about to strike. But then the blade suddenly turned and came straight for me. Zoe. The red cords on my body tightened instantly, but they only grasped at empty air. Everything went black. I suddenly found myself in the old woman's house. And in her hand, she was holding the very knife she had given me. She put the knife down and slowly wiped her glasses. Such a sin, such a sin. My knees gave out, and I collapsed to the floor, my body feeling solid again. Who are you? She took out a piece of red paper. You signed your name on black paper with red ink. You owe me a knife lender's debt. I cried out, you want my life too? Then I realized something was wrong. I had signed the red paper at first, but I had quickly scribbled it out. Then I saw the paper in her hand was odd. She had placed a sheet of carbon paper underneath it. Whatever I wrote on top appeared on the sheet below. And because she had taken it back in the middle of our exchange, I never had the chance to cross out my name on her copy. The old woman shook her head, looking at me with pity. I don't want your life. It's just that I'm old, and few people borrow knives from me anymore. By owing me this knife lender's debt, I've actually saved your life. She explained that my mom wanted to use my life to save herself and my brother. My brother had already been sent back, and I was now halfway to being a creature of the underworld. But since I was originally a living person, there was still a sliver of a chance for me to return. Did you ever wonder why your mother sent you out to borrow a dull knife? Because that's a dead man's knife. The moment you held it, you personally severed your own lifeline. She said she had sensed something was wrong with my family's aura for a while, so she set up a spell that made it so I could only knock on her door. By holding a knife from the world of the living, I could naturally resist the desires of ordinary ghosts. I then asked her about my boyfriend Leo. Was everything he said true? Was he trying to save me? Not at all. He was setting a trap for you. Your mother only wanted your life, but your boyfriend wanted you to live so he could use your body as an undead servant. She shook her head, still muttering cryptically. The old woman said that after an undead servant is created, the body's original soul is shattered. That's why they need the soul of someone who died unjustly. But I was different. A soul like mine, one that had been to the threshold of life and death and returned, would be saturated with yin energy upon its return. Plus, with a shattered body, not only would I feel no pain, but I would also generate more yin energy. My boyfriend saw this potential and tried everything to get me back and immediately trapped my soul. After everything I'd been through, I looked at the old woman with suspicion. Aren't you afraid of retaliation for helping me like this? She waved it off. I've lived a long time, old woman that I am. No one has ever dared to mess with me, the knife lender. If they come, I'll make sure they never leave. With that, she tossed a knife to me. Go on. You'll meet 3 people on your way. When it's time to strike, don't hesitate. Finally, she pointed to my signature on the black and red paper, warning me with a grim tone not to even think about welshing on the debt. Otherwise, no matter where I was, in heaven or on earth, she would hunt me down and chew me to pieces. I had no other choice but to take the knife and leave. The moment I stepped outside, I saw my mom. She looked at me with eyes full of sorrow. Zoe, you'd rather believe a stranger than your own mother? I don't believe anyone. My hand trembled as I held the knife, still unable to bring myself to strike. But her expression hardened. Go on. Strike here. Right here. My mom stretched her neck out, her face devoid of fear. Believe it or not, your brother has already been swapped back. I used my own accumulated good karma to trade for your lives. Your brother is the future of this family, so of course, I had to send him back first. But Mom loves you too, Zoe. If I had known you were so suspicious, I would have sent you back first. As she spoke, she began to sob. My heart ached. Because I was the firstborn, a daughter, my dad and grandma never treated me well. It was my mom who would secretly hide food for me. Although after my brother was born, she always told me to give in to him and put him first, and would even hit me if he got hurt. But she was the only one in the family who was ever nice to me. Good girl, you've always been the most obedient. Come to mommy. She looked at me expectantly, her eyes nearly bulging out of their sockets. A red cord shimmered faintly in her hand, and the silhouette of a doll appeared behind her. I slowly walked towards her. This is the last time we'll see each other, mother and daughter. Let me hold you one last time. My daughter, you're all grown up. But in a flash, she lunged. The doll behind her was strung up in mid-air, and I swung the knife, severing her neck. She froze for a moment, then burst out laughing. You little beast. You ungrateful wolf. You killed your own mother. Do you think you can go back pure and clean now? My head felt dizzy and heavy, and the knife in my hand was incredibly burdensome. I saw my brother. He was playing on his phone, but he jumped in shock when he saw me. Then he frantically called for a doctor. The beeping of a monitor sounded in my ears. I realized something was wrong. I tried to speak but only felt a suffocating wind rush in. Sis, you're awake. My hands were empty, there was no knife. I looked at him confused. Then my boyfriend Leo also appeared. You're finally awake, Zoe. Any longer, and you really would have been a dead person. My boyfriend explained that when my mom and brother had their accident while traveling, I was at home. But during Mom's funeral, I suddenly fell into a deep sleep and wouldn't wake up. An investigation revealed that my mom was trying to perform a life swap on me. My brother said that the dead can't be brought back, and he couldn't just watch me die and be replaced by some unknown entity. That's when Leo showed up. He projected the memory of the whole family's death to my mom, and used my brother's life force as a cover, so she wouldn't discover the secret. Now I had finally broken free from her grasp and come back to life. With no knife in my hand, I began to suspect everything had been a dream. And upon waking up, their explanation made my previous memories feel blurry and distant. I stared at their necks, my eyes fixed, but I didn't know what I was looking for. They helped me lie back down. A doctor with a stiff posture removed the gauze wrapped around my neck. Small specks of blood seeped through. A nurse quickly rushed over to wrap new gauze around it. But the new gauze was also quickly soaked with blood. They said these bloody marks had appeared on my neck out of nowhere. Luckily, they got me to the hospital in time. Otherwise, if I had taken my last breath, my mom could have possessed my body directly instead of messing around in my dreams. That night, my throat felt tight. I fought against my instincts. But my hands and feet had been tied up at some point. My brother's voice came from beside me. Leo, are you sure this will work? After my sister dies, will I really be able to live? My boyfriend's voice was chillingly cold. Of course. Like I said, for you to live, your sister and mother have to kill each other. Once they're dead, their souls will be tainted. Then, when you take their life force, no person or ghost will dare say anything, and you'll naturally be able to live again. After wrapping the cord around my neck again and again, Leo continued, it's time. Sign the paper contract, and your sister's body is yours. My brother was about to sign gleefully, but he hesitated before putting the pen to paper. You're not trying to trick me, are you? It's black ink on red paper. You can read the words carefully. My brother scrutinized the stack of papers for a moment. He didn't notice anything amiss, then signed with an apologetic smile. Well, with ghosts involved, you can't blame me for being cautious, Leo. It turned out my boyfriend had actively sought out my dying brother. After seeing my mom using dark arts to occupy my body for a life swap, he quickly contacted my brother to make a deal for my soul. My brother, as the male heir of the family, held sway with the underworld. For them, women were family property, and a contract signed by him would be binding in the afterlife. As for me, a woman, my opinion was worthless. Tears of blood streamed from the corners of my eyes. My brother saw my eyes open, filled with hatred, and just smirked. Sis, I want to live. You can understand that, right? I gasped for breath, ignoring the rope tightening around my neck. I understand. Of course I understand. He looked at me with disdain. Just like a woman, so pathetic even at death's door. I twisted my hand, pulling out the knife I had hidden behind my back and slicing through the red gauze on my wrists. Then I cut the blood-soaked red gauze that bound me. Then you can understand me too, right, brother? I want to live too. Blood spurted from his neck in waves. My stomach churned with nausea. My brother's solid body became transparent and ethereal. My boyfriend collected my brother's soul. Zoe, you're brilliant. Compared to me, it was my brother's soul that Leo was after. He had only gotten close to me for a chance to kill my brother and get him to willingly sign that contract selling his soul. To deceive my brother, he had hidden a thinner contract selling his own soul inside the one that sold me. As long as my brother didn't tear the papers apart to inspect them, he would never find the faint, thinly written contract within. My mom's interference, her attempt to kill us both, had given him the perfect opportunity. But he hadn't counted on me signing the knife lender's debt. He couldn't touch me, so he had to make a deal with me to lure my brother into signing the contract. The second person I had to kill was Leo. The third was my brother. I tried to get out of bed, but the red gauze twisted into ropes and wrapped around my body again. Zoe, it's time to wake up. A coldness seeped into me, an energy flooding my body. Only then did I see that my boyfriend held 2 contracts. It turned out he'd had my brother sign one selling me away early on. Although my debt to the old woman weakened that contract's hold on me, once he turned me into an undead servant, he could make a fortune off me before the knife lender's debt came due. Just as I was about to merge with my own body, something unexpected happened. The red ropes snapped one by one. Leo was whipped back a few steps by the broken cords. How is this possible? I flexed my wrist. I swung the knife in my hand and slashed at him fiercely. The contract fell to the floor. I picked it up and saw the name written on it. Zoe. My boyfriend and I were classmates. My name used to be Zoe. But because some of the boys in class would deliberately mispronounce my name with crude homophones, I grew to hate it. Over the past month at home, I had taken my official documents to the records office and changed my name. My name is now Zoe. A name that had only been wrong for a short time had such a limited hold on me. I let out a sneer. I didn't realize the underworld was so bureaucratic. But if they were, why did they let so many lost souls run around causing such deadly trouble? When I opened my eyes again, my head was splitting, and my body felt like it was breaking apart and pulling itself back together. My shattered body lay on the floor, while Leo lay beside it, his eyes bulging in a death stare. The old woman I had met in that other world was stitching my body back together. As if she found Leo to be in the way, she kicked his body aside. She held the red cords in her hand, and strangely, as they passed through my body, they actually mended it. A person returns from the land of death, shrouded in malice. Upon waking, you enter not the gate of the living. After death, you enter not the gate of the underworld. The voice echoed in my ears. I was pulled by a force back into my own body. A conspicuous red mark circled my neck, and my wrists and ankles were bound tightly with red cords. You're already dead, and you've stained yourself with sin. This is the only way you can live now. Although my mom, my brother, and Leo had all tried to harm me first, a person like me who had killed her own mother and brother could never be reincarnated. Going back would mean entering the deepest level of hell. It wasn't my fault, yet I had to bear the consequences. I just wanted to live. The resentment in me grew heavier. The old woman did something, and a shudder ran through me. My mind suddenly clear. Don't say I didn't warn you. If you can't control yourself, I'll be the first one to cut you down before anyone else has to. She took my hand and pulled me along, step by step. My stiff body moved with difficulty. Then, I saw a red mark on her own strained neck, almost identical to mine. And on her clenched fist, deep, dark marks were hidden beneath layers of age spots. I forced my mouth to form words. Were you a life swap victim too? The old woman didn't answer. After a long time, she wiped her glasses and tossed me a knife and a book of rules. The knife lender collects her debts. I can't meddle in everything. But as for those life-swapping things, you just pick up your knife and go to work. The end.